Welcome to OWAD. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's review what we learned this week of Mian-related characters. And Xuan is the first one. We have the human shelter, this dome with a chimney. And then we have two horizontal lines underneath it. One is relatively toward the upper frame. The other one is the bottom. So according to Chinese worldview, the top one would be the sky, the bottom would be the earth. So it's roughly heaven and the earth. I mean, without the religious part of it, just the boundary of human existence. We can roughly regard it as biosphere. And then the middle is the sun symbol. So without the human shelter parts, this gong in the middle almost means like eternity, because it basically shows you what's relative to human perspective, the forever sky and earth and the sun. Basically, the landscape we were born into that existed long before us, our ancestors, our first memories of human society, whatever folklores we got handed down with, like that's to humans of foreverness. So that's eternity. Now we have an eternity under a roof. Why it becomes announced doesn't make sense, right? Until we look at 2,000 years ago, Xu Shen's dictionary. Here in the middle, it's not the sun. It's actually a spiral. We have seen the spiral icon in Hui, in this return symbol, which contemporary Chinese simplified into one box nested inside another box. And without drawing spiral, I guess that's the closest. Like, it's almost visually true. You have a smaller box and then you have a bigger box outside, except the whole thing is actually one continuous line, but it's a spiraling line. And that spiraling signifies the word of mouth spreading out from the center here. And as we know, ancient society is hierarchical. There's only one, almost like one voice, one ruler, one voice. So whose house that is? This dome is not just any household, it's the ruler's palace. And the announce came down from the ruler, and the word of mouth passed in the spiraling way, signifying the spread between heaven and earth, basically between the known world under this one ruler. And that's the explanation of what announce is. Like, unlike today, everybody can announce something. Any entity, right? Individual or company or celebrity, there's nothing special about announce. But ancient times, it's the tip of the whole society announce. All right, so we can see contemporary Chinese replace the spiral with this easier to write, but kind of visually similar, but visually, I guess, for writing is easier to write. So that's a bummer, because for 2,000 years later, I'm looking at it, it doesn't make sense. Like how the meaning derived from this eternity symbol. But when we replace it with the spiraling, then we can see exactly how communication happens. Mouth to mouth. All right. Yi proper. Proper definition in ancient times is also a misshaper, let's say. It's not a misnomer. It's a shapes totally different. Instead of this box with two horizontal lines, but here, this is a crescent moon shape. And that's ancient piece of meat, dry meat. That's the ancient way of meat preservation that you may see hanging somewhere. And according to scholars here, either it's ground or the chopping board. So it's basically on your kitchen counter, you have a piece of meat and you're under your private space. This dome and chimney is your separation from private from public space. So Chinese would regard proper as you're well fed, you have protein, and you're well sheltered. You have a place. You have a literally roof over your head, right? So that's the definition of proper. That's probably proper living, like what's a decent living would look like. And shen, examine. Now we have, okay, we can say, okay, examine, we examine under a roof by looking at something closely. But what that thing is this complicated thing, because Xishen didn't even bother to include this character into the dictionary back then. And then this is an earlier version. As you can see, the lines are uneven. And if you close your eyes, try to reproduce this image, it's almost like impossible, right? So much details in there, and it's hard to decipher what that shape is. And that's exactly almost to show you that you really need to examine, look at it closely, because that's the ancient, one of the renderings of the paw print of a beast. And if you see a paw print, a beast near your home, you better look at it closely. That's the derived meaning of why we need to examine, because it's not this shen looking thing, this stretch imagery. It's actually the footprint from a wild animal, and that gives you as the object and the reason to examine. Fu, rich. All right, so this is a kind of a contemporary societal obsession to a degree that we all want to be rich. How Chinese define rich. So of course we have this private space, separation from the public. And then underneath it, you can see here, this imagery is almost the same, preserved as the contemporary writing. We have one horizontal line, one box, and one box with a quadrant line in there. We came across this symbol before. It means farm field. Because in ancient times, the land was cut into smaller household lots. So this shows you this cutting, this lotting process. And then this, without the lotting in it, signify a whole piece of land. And that land probably is your kind of your home, home country, hometown, home, people who share the same culture, same language, same type of food, under one ruler. So you have almost like a home country, and you have your home turf, right? Your farm field there to work off, and you have the sky, which is environmental security. And then under this one roof imagery, that give you sense of how you can get rich. You basically have a little bit of ownership of that land, even if theoretically, ancient times, every piece of land was owned by the ruler. So it's nobody else's land but the ruler, and we are all sort of like renters living on top of it. But at least you have a lot assigned to you that you can work from. So that's your productive unit. And then you can contribute to your community, signified by this box, and feel connected to that culture, that group of people. And that's how rich is defined. And we here point out this dome nowadays in contemporary Chinese just shortened to only the roof, the top portion, and that the walls on the sides were discarded, probably for the ease of writing. And also, just visually looking this way, we still see the roof of it without the walls. And it gives you probably a sense of more breeziness. Otherwise, things are more boxed up, right? Okay, hai, harm. Chinese define harm as a domestic toxicity. Okay, the three diagonal lines signify that off balance, that unevenness, that uncalming effect of this verbal damaging. And this is happening in your domestic private space. And I think that reflects pretty well in contemporaries' reflection of people, how they grew up. Maybe we all had something like from the childhood that people randomly or continuously, we don't know, say something that did harm to us, to our personal growth. So that's a Chinese kind of, maybe this is human nature, this generational harm damaging thing that Chinese even captured so early on in the language. And interestingly, this is not any like accident happen on the road, but this has happened kind of a chronic conditioning happen in your early life, in your domestic space. And here, for the ease of writing, instead of the diagonal line, which creates this visual unevenness and uncalming effect, here things are flattened out. And so contemporary Chinese, when we see that, it's easy to write, but it lost its subtle meaning there. And yin, yin is even more of a change over time. So contemporary Chinese just like box it with quadrant. It looks like a farm field, right? But if you see the ancient version, 2,000 years ago, Xishen Dictionary again, this is separated. It's not in touch. And also, this vertical line with the two dots at the end is one continuous stream until here it's split into two. And then we have this, okay, top frame horizontal line again signifies universe or heaven or sky or bio, some energy from up top. So that's where we get our inspiration, right? That's where we're eventually connected to nature, okay? And then this almost like English letter E and reverse E are two hands, which are not your hands, because Chinese hand symbol will always draw, if it's your hand, draw it from the bottom of the frame. That way we show the direction where the hands come from. Your first person perspective here would see hands like that. But here, without the forehead, the forearm here, you don't see the connection to you. So this is not your hand, somebody else's hand. And that person could be, I don't know, some I guess, superpower, super intelligent, or something that's external to you that hand down this universe energy or instruction or truth down to the earth, to your domestic space. So there is this connection of you to the universe. And that's the cause of Revere. Because you realize here is you're not just individual, you're connected, plugged in to the universe in some way. And we can see the whole thing got streamlined, simplified, but lost the original meaning, the significance of this somebody else's hand reaching down. And there is this connection, continuous connection from top to down to us. Because Chinese, the first person perspective, will always look at the world from the frame, the bottom of the frame, as if we're playing computer games, we're reaching our hand through the bottom of the frame. That's our point of view. So it gets lost in that sense. Here, let's pronounce slowly everything. 宣, 仪, 沈, 傅, 汉, 寅. All of these share this shelter symbol with the chimney on the top. And most of them got transformed in a certain degree, except like a Fu, probably most faithful to the 2,000 years ago's version. And here only kind of a diagonal line got straightened out to be horizontal. But all of these, like when I map out the whole green thing, it's like a big transformation. So that's what we're doing exactly here. By looking at older version, try to relate how the meaning we have here. Some are quite abstract, right? Like rich, harm. Revere, like how we derive such meaning from imagery. And now it all makes sense. And when we place announce and revere in one frame, I think this is a good recent event on the Jimmy Fallon show. Alisa Liu was announced, introduced to the audience, and I have to say she represents the best of us, the best of what humans can do, and that's a reason to view Revere in this moment. All right, thank you for your time. See you another week.